this whole time. Black boy fly, black boy fly, black boy fly, black boy fly. I used to be jealous of fearing to follow. I used to be jealous of fearing to follow. He was the one to follow. He was the only leader foreseeing brighter tomorrows. He would live in the gym. We was living in sorrow. Total envy of him. He made his dream become a reality, actually making it possible to swim. It's way up out of Compton with furthermore to accomplish. Graduate with honors, a sponsor of basketball scholars. It's 2004 and I'm watching them score 30. Remember vividly how them victory points had hurt me. Cause every basket was a reaction or a reminder that we was just moving backwards. The bungalow where you find us, the art of us ditching classes, headed nowhere fast. Stick my head inside the study hall, focused on math. Determination, ambition.
Good morning. This is NCFroIsReading, and I'm broadcasting from the Marriott Solano in Westlake, Texas. One of the things I'm always impressed about Texas is how everything is here. I had a very interesting ride from the airport last night. I met a gentleman by the name of, I believe his name was Jim, who has been driving or working for Marriott for a while. In his post-retirement, this is his second career, and he said he wished he had been a driver all of his life. He truly enjoys it, and I think he enjoys the interaction just in general with people. But we were able to talk about the Dallas Cowboys and about how this wasn't my first time back in this area and how I had not been in this part in Texas for about 3 years because Dak Prescott was still a rookie. It's very sad that my existence has to do with food and where the Dallas Cowboys are in their growth and who is on the team. I can point it back a lot to a lot of events in my life coincide with what's going on with the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not an owner. How crazy is that? But anyways, so this area has been incorporated, I believe, for a number of years, but it's taken on exponential growth in the past decade. With the movement of training camp from Irving to Frisco, and a lot of the affluence being attracted to the county through companies like IBM and a lot of the financial sector. There's just a lot of money in this one little area. Per capita, this is probably one of the most affluent areas outside of, I believe, College Park or maybe Highland Park in Texas. There's a whole bunch of new money here. I was initially annoyed because I got here so late, and then it was dark when I got up this morning still, and I wasn't able to finish my selection until just now. In Calling the Wind, I wanted to finish reading Ralph Ellison's short story, Flying Home. He actually wrote this in 1944, and I wanted to also get it recorded before and posted before I actually went into conference. I am still discovering how many tools I actually have at my disposal. In my last recording, I discovered the glory of QuickTime and how I could actually use that to splice together different audios, because I intend to have as an introduction, especially this month, introduction of multiple different songs as it relates to what I'm actually reading. My intent was actually to read Alice Walker's selection, and I actually had a song all queued up as far as the introduction and the exit. But when I started reading Mr. Ellison's selection, and with everything that's going on in the media, I thought this was better for today for whatever reason. Couple of things. My truth for today is getting used to the silence because it can be deafening. There is a noise canceling quality to these recordings, but it's not all that good, especially if you're trying to cancel out a very loud TV or other music. So my attempt is to do this in as quiet in this environment as I possibly can. Some new selection, the ongoing saga of Mr. Jussie Smollett. He actually is, again, he is was a main character on a hit show by Lee Daniels on ABC called Empire. I hadn't watched it for the last few seasons because it got really stupid after Lucius was supposed to have some debilitating disease that was supposed to kill him, and then like JR on Dallas, he came back and it was a mistake in diagnoses. I thought that was dumb, so I'd stopped watching it. It sounds like he staged his own hate crime in order to increase his stature so he can get a raise. He supposedly paid a guy that was his former trainer $3,500 to actually orchestrate a ruse. And he had the support of people like little old me, as well as many of initially the chief of police, who is African American in Chicago, his castmates, as well as even the district attorney in Chicago, who eventually had to recuse herself because of her connection with him. But then when all of this information came out, and he was arrested, and he was removed from the last 2 episodes of Empire. So his little ruse backfired. And I think all of us, and when I say us, I mean the African American community, are completely embarrassed by this stupidity. Who does this? You're on a hit show. You're a minority. Actually, you're a double minority. Because not only are you a homosexual black male, you're not only homosexual, but you're a black male. And you got to go hard, try just as hard, and be just as squeaky clean, more squeaky clean than everybody. Because you make us all look bad when you do stupid stuff on the national stage. And this just gives fodder to every bigot and everyone, even the person that has as very little self-esteem, because they say that you even cracked up, you couldn't handle it, and you throw all away. I think I'm more angry at the waste of it all. You wasted our time. You wasted a whole bunch of resources, and you had the support of the people, but you did it for some really stupid and selfish reasons. And do I feel sorry for you that you are actually got sat down from your hit TV show? No, because you deserved it, because if it was that dumb. But I'm also angry that you set back the cause for equality for the LGBT community, as well as for African Americans. And that is why I'm more angry with you. Because of the waste and stupidity of it all. But on the brighter side, Spike Lee was actually awarded an Oscar award for his movie Black Klansman. I don't know if anyone has seen this, but I actually had the opportunity to watch it as I was flying to Dallas yesterday. And it's a poignant story about a policeman in 1960s Colorado Springs, who actually is an African American gentleman, who was discriminated against within his own department, but he set up a ruse and infiltrated the Klansmen and diverted an attack on a local college Black Student Union president. It was an amazing story, fraught with lots of anger and pride from the African American side, and definitely from the white supremacists. In his acceptance speech, there was a dig at President Cheeto. And President Cheeto, of course, in his weenie way, took to Twitter and called out Spike Lee as a racist. But I wanted to go basically understood what actually a racist is, because I think there is a difference between being a racist, bigot, and having pride in your culture and in your race. And this is the difference. Webster's defines a racist as a person who believes that a particular race is superior to another. I'm not sure of being prideful of being an African American and doing great works and calling for equality and love is you can consider yourself a racist. This is a difference between what a racist is and what being a proud African American is. I am a proud African American woman. I feel pride about our contributions to culture. I feel happy when I know pure forms of entertainment started in my community. But do I think I'm above or better than any other race? No. I just love my own race. I love my race. I feel comfortable in my own skin enough to say I feel comfortable with everyone and can make myself at home anywhere, but I'm more at home when I am in a group of proud and successful African Americans. Do I think I'm above a Cuban or Caucasian American or Italian? No. I don't think it supersedes my being proud to be an American, because I think my culture has contributed to being American. And I think being American makes you all inclusive of many races, because I think you read in DNA there are contributions from all cultures. And I don't think being a proud African American, identifying myself as African American, makes me a racist, because I don't think one race is better than another. When you're American, you're made up of a whole bunch of different races. So how can you hate someone that looks or sounds different than yourself? That doesn't make any sense. And again, that is him speaking incorrectly. Donald Trump calling Spike Lee a racist is just as stupid as him saying that, North Korea is not a nuclear threat. That's dumb, because we know it is. That stupid wall down south is going to give us border security. It is not. He needs to check his facts again before he speaks. And this is the making of another just a complete dumbass, because what he says is not true. You can be proud of who you are and what race you are without being a racist, because having this pride you cannot generate hate. You actually have to love everyone because of where we are and who we are. I'm an African American, but I know that I'm made up of a whole bunch of different races, but I don't think any one race is above the other. So this is a great segue into the reading of Ralph Ellison's Flying Home, because this is from the mid-40s, and this is at a time when there was a distinction between race, and the Klan ran rampant in Alabama. This is a retelling of, it's not necessarily a coming of age, but it's also coming home, because it's the story of a pilot, a black pilot that I think is a Tuskegee Airman, before they were allowed to fly. And I can't imagine what these guys went through at this time when racism and hatred were rampant in American culture. He actually takes out one of the test planes and he accidentally runs into, of all things, a buzzard, and he has to, eject, I believe, and he basically crashes into an old field in Alabama. He has to depend on an old man that he would look down to as a peasant, to actually get him the help to get the plane and himself safely back to the airfield. However, he has a broken ankle and he's basically at the mercy of initially Jefferson, the elderly man that comes to his assistance, and then the old racist guy, crazy man, who is known for killing black people, to actually get him back to the airfield. Because of the length of this, I'll read you sections from it, but the premise is against all the odds, he has dreamt since a young boy to fly in a plane, even when he didn't understand, because he didn't understand that as an African-American male in Alabama, of all places, he wasn't supposed to dream. But dream he did. Since seeing an airplane in a country fair as a boy, he always dreamt to soar among the clouds. His mother knew, and it irritated her that he would ask questions about when is he going to get a plane and when he's going to be able to fly, because he had not yet understood that he wasn't supposed to dream. This was 1930s, 1940s America. He wasn't supposed to have that type of dream for himself. In her effort to protect him, she was actually very harsh with him, but the reality was she didn't know how to protect him from this type of ambition. She probably wanted to protect him from the hurt, but she didn't know how to protect him from the reality was that he was probably never going to fly. So I'm sure when he passed this flying test, and against all the odds, he did make the Tuskegee Airmen, but it was a while, I believe, before they were actually able to participate in World War II. When he was talking to Jefferson, this is an excerpt from one of their discussions. He wiped cold sweat from his face, thinking, what does she know of humiliation? He actually gets a letter from his girlfriend about when are you going to fly, etc., etc., and this is his reaction to it. She never even been down south. Now the humiliation would come when you must have them judge you, knowing that they never accept your mistakes as your own, but hold it against your whole race. That was humiliation. Yes, and humiliations were when you could never be simply yourself, when you were always a part of this old black ignorant man. This was his acknowledgement of his exception, his lack of being accepted with the white officers, always being seen as no more than that old poor farmer. This is his own self-hatred, I believe, that was speaking, and how he would actually have to overcome that. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. The premise is, when as a little kid, he worried himself into a fever, supposedly because he tried to catch an airplane and he couldn't understand why he fell through a window screen door, and he couldn't understand why he couldn't catch that airplane, and it was actually as if his space and size perception are all off because of his age. And literally, he got so ill that, I don't know if it was heat stroke or what, but because of his perception of not being able to catch that airplane, he actually was taken ill. And it's weirder that only the other interaction he has with the airplane is when, I believe, KKK pilot or the KKK hired a pilot to distribute, as this is again as a child, distribute these pamphlets discouraging African Americans not to vote. And that was the other time that he saw a real plane. He was disappointed more in his child understanding. He was disappointing more that he couldn't catch that airplane. It really didn't dawn on him the absurdity and the horror, the propaganda that the KKK was using his machine to spread, to discourage people against utilizing their right to vote. Also, during his time, as his ankle was broken and he was in pain, he said, the closer I spun towards the earth, the blacker I became. When he was up in his airplane, he soared above the clouds and he soared above everything, and he himself was a god. But he came crashing back down to earth when he had to depend on people that he thought were truly beneath him. The crazy old redneck Graves, as well as Mr. Jefferson and the son, they only treated, and then how they got him out of the field was Graves actually came and put him in a straitjacket just to humiliate him because he thought he was crazy. Who are you to think you can soar above the trees and into the sky? But he was actually going to get the help that he needed. Although I don't think they knew for sure, but I'm sure they could detect it, that Todd the pilot, Mr. Jefferson, and that young man, the young boy, probably Jefferson's grandson, were all connected now. And it's not like they were not disconnected. They were united in pain in getting this young man safely back to his airfield, no matter what the consequences were. But we still need each other in order to survive. There's so much that we do to cause us to love ourselves, but we also have to expand it to continue to love and support each other. Looking at your mistakes as mistakes, but being able to rebound from them is going to require the support of the entire community. You're going to have so many things that are going to knock you out of the air, but the bottom line is getting back up and surviving. That is the part, or that is the tale or the truth of this story. Never stop dreaming and supporting each other and making sure that we get the help that we need in order to heal and to move on. Because the world is not fair. It's sad to be taken out by something as mundane as a buzzard. But it's how you actually look on the experience and you build from the experience. And hatred has no place in success. I could dislike the fact that I have made a mistake, but I'm not going to hate myself for the mistake. I got to keep pounding and I got to keep fighting. And I think, again, it ties truly back to the whole Jussie Smollett debacle. I'm not sure if a component of self-hate played into this, but that made us all look bad. But at the same time, He's still in the family of the world, and we still got to support him and get him through this. But he needs to take consequences for his poor actions. And again, President Cheeto is incorrect. I do not believe that Spike Lee is a racist. I do think he does have pride and love for his people, but what does not make him a Klansman or a bigot is the reason is because recognizing what makes us who we are and what we are, and not one race is better than another, but we have to have self-love in our contributions to culture to be able to see that. This is NC is reading Ralph Ellison Flying Home from the Marriott Solano. I hope you guys have a great day, and until next time.
I used to be jealous of JC Young. I used to be jealous of JC Young. Taylor when I was young. Taylor made a career out of music from writing songs. A Buick had driven past, bumping him when I mowed the lawn. Money laundering, hustling, homies pondering up against schemes to make $1 million, even if doing you harm. What's the case? And just in case she wasn't alarmed, the city had fought with firearms and many had died before dawn. It's 2004 and I'm hearing the people roar. For the name of the game, they line in front of the store. Swap me, selling out mixtapes. I'm like, oh shit, wait. Don't wanna be another nigga stuck, regretting mistakes. Mixed feelings was my opinion. I was defending my insecurities, chilling my conscience next to a villain. Compton made you believe success wasn't real. Be honest, none of us knew of a record deal. So as I peel through the lottery tickets, I see a Harley Davidson truck visit the same plaza we shot. A tall nigga hopped down with Jordans and a white tank top. He was top of the